in the previous protocol, protocol 3, talked about different trajectories. And, it's interesting when you look at it this way. Most golfers stare at a golf ball and they want everything to kind of line up on that golf ball. That's how when I ask adults, how they should hit a golf ball, I usually say, well, I look at the golf ball and where I start, I want to kind of line things up. And that makes sense. But to be a really good golfer, the golf swing's such a blur. The event of a swing into a golf is a blur that even I can't even see it. So when I was talking about trajectories, think about the courage it takes to let the weight of the club get put somewhere behind you and through degrees of pivot, deliver slightly different loft to the golf ball. And again, this is taken on the artistry. Like I use the reference of kind of bending a note in guitar. You can bend it, you could make the vibrato fast or really slow. You could use your finger on the fretboard. And I don't even really play guitar, but I'm just using this as an example of how you could change the pitch and feel of something. The same thing, it takes a little bit of skill development and personal time for your skill to develop. So, how did I flight one a little bit lower? Well, if my wrists are really relaxed and I use my pivot, the club catches up a little bit differently. So the more relaxed I am, the more my pivot has the club head trailing behind me, the lower I can hit the golf ball. Most people can't relax. Most people stare at the golf ball and can't wait to try to line and throw this thing up. And guess what? They're always going to hit it kind of high and soft. So by learning how to relax in different degrees as you unwind, you're going to change the trajectory. And you'll say, well, Martin, why don't I always have maximum relaxation? Because I'd say to you, it's not always about hitting it low. How somebody hits it a little bit higher also has to do with how they use the ground a little bit. So as I'm hitting these little wedge shots, protocol number 4, think about this. As I set up to a golf ball, and maybe I have a slightly wider stance, to get this club, this wedge, to be the paintbrush, the artist tool it needs to be, watch my left shoulder, my lead shoulder now as I use this golf club. So there's some rhythm in my feet to inspire a takeaway. This shoulder is going to travel down, and it travels up. So this up event is what helps the club line up and overtake the hands to hit slightly higher shots. It's not always about the feeling of dragging a very strong loft, because as you get into more full swings, it's really about peaceful, rhythmic overtaking, just having the correct sequence of how that club overtakes at the bottom. That's the magic. Now, I want you flighting different shots, but as you are developing this protocol, protocol number 4, the feels you're looking for in protocol number 4. Get your good setup position, get organized over a golf ball. Ask yourself, okay, where's my lead shoulder now? Let that lead shoulder work closer to the ground, because as it works closer to the ground, guess what it can do? It can work away from the ground so that the shaft leads up with the lead arm a little bit, presenting a little bit more loft than, say, a short shot that you're just kind of bumping out there to flight something into the wind or run one onto the green, hitting an effective scoring pitch shot. So this is sort of a full swing skill with your pitching wedge. Lead shoulder down, lead shoulder up. Let the golf ball get collected. Now I'm starting to get some more elevation on there. I'm starting to get more of the dynamic whip of an effective swing. And this is how you can start to play with trajectory, feel the differences of how that club pressures against your hands, and now start to take on some of the forces that change from the common misconception of staying down versus somebody who actually is taking this angle and letting it pass the hands with speed as it overtakes and takes them to a nice finish. Now here's a nice looking finish where I'm rotated, my buns are underneath me, my heart's to the sky. That's completely different than how I started with my chest down at the golf ball. So lead shoulder down, lead shoulder up. And there's a nice strike. So I want to see 30 full swings, kind of sensing how the lead shoulder gets closer to the ground and how we push it away from the ground to let that weight overtake and start to hit longer, higher shots.